What's up, everyone? How you guys doing? And the first video of 2025. Took me 16 days to finally record a video. Sorry, I've been busy with work, but I'm back. I really want to talk about Shenhe, right? I think Shenhe is the character that I really want to talk about because we all know that with the 5.3 second half, besides the Arlecchino and the Cloran reruns, we are also getting the Chronicle Wish for Lyre, which somehow includes this man child who is from Shenhe. All right. But anyways, I think when this banner released, obviously one of the main talking points was that Shenhe is finally getting a rerun after 2 years. You know, the last time she reran was when Honkai Star Rail wasn't even out yet. And for context, that 3.0 patch just dropped. So it's been a very long time. But honestly, this video, I really talk about Shenhe quite a bit because I think that there's a lot of talk about her. And really, is it worth pulling for her today in 5.3? So obviously, we'll talk about strengths and weaknesses and some of her current and future prospects as well. So let's begin. Okay, so I think that because she's been so long, I think let's get a refresher of how she works. Shenhe works with this mechanics called the Icy Quill effect. Basically, when she uses a skill, either through her hold or press, which gives her differing amounts, 5 or 7. The quills are given to each character, and whenever they do cryo attacks, they consume a stack of these quills, and they will also do additional damage based on Shenhe's attack. Whether you use the skill or the hold has different time period, has a different duration, has also a different cooldown as well. That being said, one of the things that you may have heard about Shenhe's Icicle stack is that the stacks like it doesn't work as well in AoE, because if you, let's say, use an Ayaka skill, which is cryo, and you hit 3 enemies, you consume 3 stacks at the same time. So obviously it's a lot more front loaded as well, but it is still a pretty good buff to the cryo characters as well as the burst, because the burst unleashes this ring that will be able to shred both cryo and physical resistance, and also do some periodic like cryo dot damage. I think it's like 2 hits per 2 seconds. So, and in the duration is like 12 seconds. It does have a very high energy cost. That's why you want to really run quite a bit of ER on her. On a blank canvas, Shenhe's a great cryo support for like the cryo DPSs, your Ayaka, your Ganyu, your Wriothesley, and obviously recently for some reason Chaska as well, because Chaska, you know, through her mechanic of having like the teammates become elements affecting her, the elements of a skill, for example. Anyways, and of course, you know, the A4 also helps out. Whether you press or hold, you get different bonuses depending on what you use. And it's really, really nice because also in the field, you get 50% cryo damage bonus. So when Shenhe was first released in 2.4, a lot of people like kind of compared her to Cryo Bennett, and you know what, it makes a lot of sense because Cryo, like, Bennett boosts the attack of like your teammates, whoever scales with attack, and Shenhe boosts the cryo damaging characters. But here's the thing, I think this is like the first point I really want to make with like Shenhe kind of lives and dies with how well cryo element does. And I think, as we all know, recently, ever since like Sumeru with the Dendro element being introduced, cryo hasn't been doing too well. Obviously the changes in Abyss and in like content has also affected like freeze, for example, which used to be very rampant when Shenhe was first released. You know, Ayaka was one of the best DPSs because of freeze. And so obviously as the meta shifted, and so has her relevance as well. And so as cryo dipped, you know, it really affected her standing. And also, like, one more thing to add on, right? Shenhe last reran in 3.4. If you actually look back and see the like the releases ever since then, besides the supports like Charlotte, Layla, and even Silali, there's only been one DPS character that was released, which was Wriothesley. And so I think that, you know, if you look at it like entirely, like maybe Hoyoverse kind of messed her, because obviously, because for a character that lives and dies with the cryo element, you kind of need like good cryo DPSs to kind of like, you know, keep up your standing. And I think that because she hasn't had good like teammates to work with, I think that also like pushed her down. And like one thing I want to say is that people say like, oh, but you know, like her best slot can be Shenhe in like an Ayaka team and stuff like that. But here's the thing, right? If you were to look at like their roster, like generally, right, would you say that will you rather characters that are more universal? Because here's the thing, right? You take the like if you guys say you go to soft PT and win the 50-50, right? You take about like 76, maybe 80 wishes to wish for characters that you win a 50-50. You can either you spend 80 wishes to get Shenhe, or you can spend 80 wishes to get a character like Silunan, like a Farina, like what's his name called, Kazuha, right? All these characters really help out even more because they're so general for your roster that it helps even the non-cryo characters, whereas a character like Shenhe is very, very dependent on this archetype. And if cryo lives or cryo dies, that's where her value like rises and soars, rises or dips. And because of the way cryo is treated right now, that's where her state is, right? She isn't as highly valued as like other characters. Obviously, like I mentioned, like, can cryo beat content? Absolutely, right? Freeze teams can still beat them when the chamber favors them. Melt teams work. Well, the melt teams are pretty much more popular nowadays. But the thing is also, like, if you're playing a melt team, right? You also have like, go back to the alternatives. Would you rather use Shenhe, or would you use like the Bennett Xiangling core? Right, and obviously you have Bennett as your buffer. So that's a really big question you have to ask, right? Like, are you willing to sacrifice like your premium jades, or your your primo gems, for a character that could have been like used? You could have used Bennett, you could have used Xiangling, right? And I think like that's really where the debate comes in, on whether you should really pull for Shenhe, because like, is it really worth your primo gems to go all out for a character that at the very most buffs 4 characters? Because even like for the 4 stars, obviously you know what, we might talk about physical like Euler and like Femine, but in my opinion, like, I don't think you should push on her for a physical team, but that's just my opinion. But like, yeah, so like maybe like what, main DPS Kaya, if you're really frisky, or main DPS Charlotte if you're up to it. But like, that's like so like niche and so random that I don't think many people even go for it, right? And so like, obviously you talk about the main 4, right, that she buffs. And would you pull for a character that buffs 4 characters, or will you pull for a character that buffs like maybe 15 or 20 characters? And I think that's really the thought of like why I wouldn't recommend like Shenhe at all. And also, like, yeah, so that's basically that. I think that Shenhe really has been treated really badly by Hoyo. Her last rerun was 2 years ago, and so much has changed since then, right? She last ran at 3.4, right? Let's look at the notable characters since then, right? We had Farina, we've had Shilonen, we've had Lali, 3 characters that in a sense can compete with her in those team comps that she could be best in slot with. And like, for a character like Shilonen, right, where at level 10 she gives 36% elemental resistance, right, for a longer period of 15 seconds. Like, honestly, like, that is like pretty nuts. And generally, I think that that's where like would you rather pull for Shilonen or Shenhe kind of thing, right? And obviously, you make the best of your resources now, but like, you also can't like just waste it on something that you like that it's not going to be like very good for the long term. Like, Shilonen is better for the long term, and I'd rather you spend your resources on Shilonen, for example, right? Obviously, when you talk about like Shilonen, right, obviously she doesn't give the damage bonus, except that she actually does through her artifact set. You can just give her like shit sets, and she could probably give you a bigger damage bonus than what Shenhe could give, along with the red shred and stuff like that. So honestly, like, yeah, like I've been repeating this point like quite often, but like, go for a character that's a little bit more universal. Even Kazuha, right, also has it, the rest on the artifact and the damage bonus through his, I think, A4 passive. Yeah, the A4 passive. Like, these are characters that players should probably go for instead. And so, like, yeah. Okay, and maybe the last thing I'll talk about, because I think this was kind of spurred on by like some of my YouTube comments was like, oh, you know, like Shenhe, you know, obviously got a rise with, first thing is Shenhe got a rise with Chaska, but the thing is that Sitlali came on the next patch, and like Sitlali is also like a little bit more universal, not really universal, but you know, she works with more elements, she's using more teams. Like, okay, the other comments that I got from my YouTube comments, right, as I go show right here, right, there's a video where I judged I rated all the 2.x characters that were released in the Inazuma era, and obviously one of the comments was like, oh, you know, she didn't come back with Shenhe, like it's temporary because Sitlali wasn't out. But another thing was that people were talking about how just Naya coming out, you know, they will improve cryo, and like that's valid, right? That's really, really valid. But here's the thing, right? When you talk about future prospects for cryo, we all know there's at least one guaranteed cryo character that's coming out in the future, and that cryo character will be the Sarisa, the cryo Archon. And you know, like no matter what you say about like Malvika, right? Like even though she's very niche, like we all know that like all Archons are strong, at least at the time of release. And because like the cryo Archon will be released like much later, she's gonna be strong for that time. And whether Shenhe can keep up, like it really is a big question mark, right? At the same time, like if like the Sarisa is sub DPS or healer or even a support, like she's gonna compete with Shenhe. Shenhe will compete with the Sarisa for that one slot, right? And even if she's a main DPS, let's say she's placed like into a melt team or she plays into a freeze team, you know, like there are alternatives like Furina with Charlotte and stuff like that. You also have the Bennett and Xiangling core that you might want to play melt with. So honestly, it is not looking really, really hot for a character like Shenhe. I think that she was a really big product of a time, which was a time when the meta was freeze, for example, where Ganyu, and when the main argument was with whether the best DPS was Ayaka or Ganyu. Obviously that has changed now, and I think that Shenhe is kind of a product of the past. She was good then, but I think that, you know, unless they do something insanely crazy with Shenhe or with Cryo, sorry, I don't think that she will be a really good pool for many players. Obviously, you know, if she's your waifu and stuff like that, do a go ahead. But if you really want to make use of your resources, I think there are better alternatives for like a buffer, especially a buffer that is very, very universal. And so yeah, I think that is kind of my thing about Shenhe. You know, obviously she is a good character in her niche, but the thing is that it's niche. Are you going to put a character in a roster of like almost close to 90 characters where she's only good with 4 or 5 of them? I think that is up for you to decide. And let me know in the comment section below what you think about this. Do you think that I am like downplaying like the strengths of Shenhe? And do you think that, you know, she's actually like the best and like Cryo still rocks? Like freeze team still dominates kind of thing? Let me know. In my opinion, once again, as I said it before, I think that for players who want to look into pooling, you know, like it might even be good to wait for the next patch, right? The second half, this is the second half, right? So this is going to run until the 5.4 live stream. And I say that if you want to pull for Shenhe but are on the fence, maybe wait to see what the 5.4 like reruns are. We know there's going to be one, like I think her name is Mizuki, that's coming. We don't know what's a kid like, but there's like 3 other slots, right? It could be anyone, and we know that one of them is going to be the Archon and Archon. So it's either going to be Furina and Venti. So Furina might make a rerun in 5.4, and I think that Furina is a much better pool for your accounts than Shenhe. But like I said, let me know what you think in the comments down below, and I'll see you guys next video. It's a little bit short. Just wanted to get this out of the way and really talk about a character that I like, right? Because I used to be an Ayaka main when I started out in the game. Ayaka was the like second DPS characters, and I obviously put for Shenhe because it made her better. But yeah, you know, with the state of Cryo, it's definitely a little bit on the downside, and I think that, you know, something that players have to take into account. And obviously, and her future prospects to me are not as bright as people think just because Shenhe is the next nation. But like as I mentioned before, leave it down comments below. Do also know that I stream live on Twitch. Link is down in the description below. And I'll see you guys next time as you guys look at Malvika. Stay healthy, stay safe, be good to yourselves and the people around you. I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.